Hello, Music Multiverse listeners, and welcome to Beyond Your Radio. Welcome back to Album Review Saturdays. This is episode 31. Yes, it's me, but more importantly, it's Deb Armitage Hicks Maloney. Beyond Your Radio does this every week and every Saturday, whether she shows up or not. We give you as many new albums as possible, but always, I go down with three, and those three are also on beyondyourradio.com in the article section. They're written there by me. Obviously, the show goes off the rails, so it's more entertaining. But if you want the direct, more formal spew, it's there. And it's not AI generated. No, it's written from my idiot soul of music. If you're new to the channel, that's great. And somehow you found us. Good. Don't lose us. That means press subscribe, so you get notices of all we're doing. We obviously take this channel and music seriously, but we do enjoy ourselves while we're doing this, and we hope you do as well. You can always comment, too. I love when people do that. It's been happening, although it's all on Skinny Puppy. What does that say? It gives me goosebumps.
Oh, no.
And, of course, hit the like button so YouTube knows you like us, not the band. The band, you can go on their thing and like them. For the bands tonight, good luck. The artists, good luck. Some of you have been around a long time. All right, it's time. Let's do this. Are you still listening? Excited about anything out there in the music multiverse? Well, let's see if this Saturday we can get you interested in something new from artists and bands that have a variety of long history in the industry. We start up with one of the only non-vowel four-letter named bands in history. There's an introduction.
Sometimes why.
Yes. And while they might be holding the tightest to their progressive rock formula, there is no denying the creative tightness and the statement delivery, even though I say it's a bit whiny. Then it's off to 2000s blues guitarist that also falls into a very assured tightness and dependability. And he almost has as many albums as they do. 17 albums in 25 years. He's a production machine. Wait a minute. Seems like he's Patterson novel kind of thing. Are we sure it's really him? Is it AI?
Yeah. No.
All right. Finally, let's go to a Lifetime Achievement Award-winning folk artist and singer-songwriter, band member with the great Robert Plant, who resurrected that band, who has had an incredible career in making that folk speak volumes, morph into interesting genres, and kind of live beyond her generation. So I guess all of the artists are staples. Let's find out if their passion for music delivers to our ears in 2025. One of these days I'll be saying it'll be 2035.
Stop.
All right.
God, stop.
This lovely artwork here, the destroyed satellite and birds forming into birds, only can be Styx circling from above. It's clear that this iconic progressive rock band continues to find sounds and topical presentations that invite the old and new into a very accessible place. In fact, the song I'm using at the beginning of that there seems to have a hint of Queen with that Gowan-esque position, which, it's Gowan. It even adds a stint of raw country in the final bow if you get through it. This is the tricks of Styx. A grand illusion, if you will, to thinking you know what you're hearing. But if you listen deeper, there's a lot more. And sometimes it comes within the spaces that are a lot less. I did call them a whiny kind of songwriting, but I didn't pontificate further when I said that. I just wanted to get a rise out of the Grateful Dude. It's not always, but I want to be clear that they do seem to do a little bit of finger pointing of obvious liberal proportions. Oh, the world over here is shitty. It's shitty, right? Mm-hmm. And then they go back. But hey, war, bad. Why do it? That kind of thing. They don't do it that way. They do it ingeniously. Build and Destroy, which kicks off Circling from Above with
I once had this dream to build a machine so fast it breaks through the sky. Nothing would stop this incredible mass. Something is
on their 18th studio album. Okay, so Bonamassa's only one behind. That's probably the whiny part for me, really. But a generous portion of soul, instrumental vigor, and the staple bridge work that progressively shines throughout this entire record. You have thought that the entry of Gowan might have changed the way or invigorated my opinion of the band, but no, he just kind of fits it just so well. It's like that he was the band member that was meant to be. It made me pay more attention to the band upon his entry, but it just wound up being a very collaborative and extremely smart fit. The band, I don't know, sounded much truer to their catalog and prior sound since his entry, as they attempt to be more prolific of the times, and that seemed to work itself out with his arrival. I'm not saying that these later albums are stunning to the degree of Kilroy was here. No, they're not, or The Grand Illusion, but they do feel more attached and grounded to their palette, their style and songwriting for the lyrics that seem to have a better cohesion for me. In fact, some of these are quite impressive for the breed of musical art they gravitate toward. As with the prior two albums, this is another record that has a lot of, like, I don't know, listen to it and take it in kind of, but the musicianship will always capture your attention every listen. This is not a production trick. This is just musicianship. They're not using any wacko gizmos, and, I think they just get in the studio. It doesn't seem like they would all be in the studio together playing this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It does to me anyway. But that's my emotion. It's circling from above is generous. It's emotional, again, bordering on that whiny thing, but I get it. And careful to soar in the right places. Yeah, okay, I'm going there. You got to love the restraint and connection to the timing, the importance of structure over the soloing. To me, this album doesn't go batshit crazy into the soloing area. It stays grounded. So don't get me wrong, the solos are there, but they're brief and they add to the audio ambience, to the overall recording, which is what it should be for a band of this kind of stature and position. But let's find out what Deb was doing while she was circling above Styx.
Well, this band, they formed in 1972, and I was 10 years old. So, some of their music, it was listenable as far as my parents thought. So I was allowed to, it
Okay.
wasn't, some of the crazy stuff that my dad was just like, nope, my kid is not listening to that, or she'll turn to Satan type of thing. So, by 77, they had, is that when they came out with their big hit, Come Sail Away?
Mm-hmm.
I learned to play it on the piano. So I thought I was so cool because I could do that. Anybody playing piano at that time that was a teenager probably learned that song as well. I was really into mythology, so I love their name of the band. So that grabbed me. And really, as far as it being progressive rock, yes, but it's not the kind of progressive rock that as intense as an Emerson, Lake and Palmer or a Genesis. So it was a little bit easier for me.
So would that be whiny? What? No.
Yeah, a little bit. In doing this exercise, I couldn't believe that they only had one number one hit, and that was
Mhm.
Babe. I would have, if I had to answer a trivia question, I would not have known the answer to that, or I would have answered wrong. So, interesting. I wasn't, by the time they got to like the Mr. Roboto stage, I had kind of checked out on that.
Okay.
So as far as this album goes, though, it did feel familiar to the earlier stuff that I liked of theirs. I think that maybe it was too familiar. It's not an album I'm going to listen to again. That's for sure. But I was a little confused on a couple songs, like She Knows. What was with the Charlie Daniels fiddle thing? That was
See, that's I said. There's a little country in there if you hang in there long enough.
and I'm going, wait a minute, only Charlie's allowed to do that. So I wasn't sure about that. The song We Lost the Wheel Again, you know how you said whiny? I had my notes were a little bit more childish or simplistic. Maybe a newborn Emerson, Lake and Palmer before they really got into their their theatrics. That was that. And then Build and Destroy. That was, yeah, that I kept thinking they were going to start copying Yes's Roundabout. I felt a Yes feel there. There's none of these songs that I go, oh, I can't listen to them, but there were none that I went, oh man, that is so good. Let me rewind it and listen again, you know? So I did learn that their bassist, I think he's with them on this album, Chuck Panozzo.
Yeah, he is on there, but he does not travel, I don't think, to play.
No, because he has full-blown AIDS.
Yates, yeah. He's
So
been dealing with it forever, I think.
forever, right. So yeah, since we learned probably before we learned what AIDS was, right?
So who's the bassist?
I don't know.
Gowan's brother.
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, it's Gowan's
okay.
brother.
Well, it's interesting because they noted that they have played more live dates since 99 than they did in all the previous years combined, which is crazy to me because at first I went, well, how hard is that to do? And I thought, well, in 99 they had already been around 27 years, and now they've been around another 27 years, and at this age they're still traveling and playing live shows. So kudos to them. They're talented by every definition of the word. Just I think I've left that genre behind in my past for nostalgia purposes.
It's
That's
a
all.
musical show, right? Like almost
Yeah.
like a progressive opera-ish. Maybe not opera. Opera's probably not the right word. You're there. I think you're there for the musicianship more than the lyric.
Yes,
I
the
don't think
lyrics I
there's
had.
going to be, yeah, I don't think there's going to be any performance that, someone's going to jump out of their chair, or there's going to be pop-up inflatable dolls and burning flames and flag waving. Wait a minute. That's yes. Um,
I hope.
Circling from Above, it's a good Styx record. I think most of the fan base would be pleased. I've seen people putting it on their list of this year, in that vanity, I guess we'll call it. The Hall of Fame band is still a decent force of progressive rock, but it's that progressive rock that doesn't have an edge. It's
Yeah.
subtle. It's adult contemporary progressive rock. Lawrence Gowan's younger brother, yeah, Terry Gowan is the bass guitarist now within the band too. He's now a
Okay.
member, considerable member. The
Okay.
Human Condition and Our Continued Time always leaves a mark on the band's expressionism, and I don't think anyone in the music multiverse would want it any other way. This is what they are. Well, except for me, as you know. I love that edge, darker parts, but Circling from Above does a very good job of making sure there's some meat with that wine.
Good one.
I'm going to hell. And then they're going to throw sticks on the fire. Okay, I'll stop. Joe Bonamassa, Breakthrough, Formula. He's always had it in spades and dark shades and slicked back hair. He's a class act in the blues genre, and he can swing his Principal Skinner. Yeah, that's the name of his favorite guitar. Or hell, any other guitar he picked up, I'm sure, in all kinds of glorious bluesy directions. He can make it fun. He can wrangle it, make it serious, make it deep, orchestrated, big sound, or even intimately with an acoustic guitar. Yeah, he's fortunate to have worked his voice to become a little bit better part of his overall accompaniment. Most blues guitarists could give two shits. I think he does. And on this album, I think that's where he holds most of the cards. Sometimes I feel it comes a little too easy for him make an album, minutely disconnected from the actual lyrical delivery. But now that his voice has become a little bit more of that, it's, he's best in the groove of electric blues. More gritty tracks for me, I like. Those are the ones I like the most. But I never hear a damn thing wrong when it comes to his fingers and the fret. And on Breakthrough, he's utilizing he's utilizing much of what he's done prior for the blues rock to the southern blues rock and orchestrated jumps that include organ, piano, and backup swinging singers on this record. This is somewhere between blues rock and big band blues, accessible and easy to find the spots that one likes. as well as those creature comforts and blues riff here and there to be reminded, writing and timing that's, kind of sweetening the delivery, if you will. Mr. Bonamassa has a split musical personality, in my opinion, and on some albums, he's better at yielding to both desires from playing guitar to vocalize writing. Breakthrough is one of those that hosts more of the second and less of the virtuosity. And is it necessary? There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion, and whether it happens by purposely him approaching it that way or just in the nature of the final recording, it all works and makes for a generously well thought and written album. But I know there's a person in my in the show right now that's smitten with the man. So let's see what she thought of Breakthrough.
Oh my gosh. Well, who can't love Joe? I mean, when you're 12 years old and you open for BB King, there's something there's something written in the cards for you there. I
Well,
mean, but no resting on his laurels. He has earned his way. Growing up in Utica, right down the 90 from here, to us, he's a hometown boy. Um, the blues, yeah. Look at all the cities that are along the 90. We can sing the blues, can't we?
well, you
Um,
better sing the blues down that highway because if you're listening to Pink Floyd, you're going to fall asleep at the wheel and crash. There's nothing to look
exactly.
at.
There's nothing to look at. And I'm even more smitten with him now because I found out he's never been married nor has any children. That's my kind of man. Um, uh, I love that he has a foundation called the Keeping the Blues Alive. He supports developing artists and contributes to music education in some of these school districts that are cutting funds for anything that's artistic, which is a shame. And he said in another life, if he hadn't become a blues musician, he would have been in law enforcement. He wears those sunglasses pretty damn well. So um, he does that because he has light sensitivity. So, and I
Oh,
understand how that is too. So we could share migraines together or whatever happens. Joe, give me a call.
migraines and margaritas. That's his next album title.
Um, so as far as the album goes, I saw him, I believe in 2023. Um, his backup singers are well placed on this album, I thought. They can be a little bit distracting sometimes in a live show. Um, However, take that with a grain of salt, put that away in your pocket and pay attention to everything else that's going on. And once you aren't so, I guess, focused in on that, they blend in very well when they're where they should be. And I felt on this album, it was they weren't really there to do all the dancing like they do up on the stage. On the album, we don't need to have those visuals, right? So um, their vocals are where they need to be. Title track was great, and my other one that I absolutely love was Shake the Ground. That was such a
Oh,
good song to me. And this, like I said, I'm not going to listen to that Styx album again, but you can be sure I'll be listening to this. And, when I went to his show, you said that this album, the production of it and just how tight everything is, that's how his shows are. And my friend that I went with didn't like it at all. He likes to go see a blues band in a smoky bar, the Sportsman or whatever,
mhm.
where there's no timing with the whole stage production that has to be tight. And I'm telling you, it ended precisely at 10 o'clock. So he's a theatrics person. He's there for the show, and he keeps it the way it should be, but he doesn't go off onto any tangent on any of the songs live. I mean, you won't see him all of a sudden reading the crowd and doing more.
Mhm.
And that might be a little disappointing for people that like live blues, but to me, I wanted to see him in my lifetime, and I got to, so I appreciated every moment of it, even though it might not have been all that I wished for in a concert, but it was all that I wished for in his concert, so it was fine.
Mhm. Yeah, his vocals shine on, and the guitar kind of glimmers as an extension on this record. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for the virtuosity, it's it's so laid back in its position. Um, I think that in this instance, I believe that he's more connected to the lyric and the story, which may have not been true early on. Maybe if someone
Yeah, I'm
else
not
was
sure.
co-writing or something of that nature,
True.
the guitar was the centerpiece. This is absolutely the honest case for the brilliant Broken Record song that's on here.
I've been lost on this road for too long, for too long. I've been lost in the wilderness for too long, sing the same old song.
It's a song
Yeah.
that I would not be surprised if it became a staple of the live shows. It's a perfect fit. It like his suits, and it's the
Yeah.
song that best melds the two personalities of Bonamassa as a musician. There's not a song that I do not like, but I will say the background vocals, primarily in the same key throughout the whole album, was strange. Um, you know, Shake This Ground had this grandfather fun clock rhythm and timing, and the vocals is using the same pitch we've experienced already on two prior songs. So
Uh-huh.
that to me kind of lowered that a bit. The timing is different, but the harmony and the delivery are still holding that same.
True.
It's not a deal breaker, don't get me wrong. It's just that
No.
it makes the album kind of hover a bit closer to a pop blues rock feeling. And
Yes.
pop blues is a little dangerous for me because it's formulaic, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It the organ gets dabbled in too, which adds a cool layer, which falls into Still Walking With Me. I think it's still trying to work on me, this part of the record, despite some guitar tricks and holds that go on. It's far too simple for his skills for me, and these songs feel the closest to heard, kind of heard it all before kind of thing,
Mhm.
which in the blues is it can happen, right?
Yeah, it does. I mean,
And there's
every
nothing wrong with that, but I need it's got to be about the pace or the delivery, right? So when we get to the next track, After Dark, we are back on solid blues platform ground with Bonamassa doing what he does best, finding the vocal and the blues guitar ebb and flow that best identifies his soul in blues. And that is, it's a hard thing to balance for sales if that's what you're looking for, sales in the records, and you're looking for contemporizing, and I don't think that fits for him.
right.
It's a hard thing, I guess. He's been doing
Yeah.
stuff with Kevin Shirley for years, and there's a little bit of funky blues and Roadhouse in this, Texas Roadhouse kind of feel,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
enjoy. That's pretty
Yeah, me
darn
too.
consistent without having to seemingly concede to someone's algorithm. That's what I like. So
Yeah.
Breakthrough is an album that does a fabulous job of giving attentive listeners the experience they want, but still reaching into that pop blues sellability. So you gotta sell records. I get it. You know, and if you're telling me about the performance on stage, that's kind of, it's got to be that way. You know, you got to have a little bit of
Yeah.
that because there's nothing else going on. Again with Styx, you know.
Yeah. Right.
So I think he states, "You don't own me," and that's kind of the idea, right? He does what he wants to do. It's a spirit. He handles the risk taking with a calculatory concept. Maybe he's thinking, "Is that worth it?" The spirit of the recording, does it fit? And finally, how he comes to envelop each album's signature modifications, maintaining his love for the sound of the blues as he hears it, which comes from a very supreme appreciation of all the blues that it entails from him. He is a student of the blues. And I think that's sometimes what some people, they think he's a copycat, but no, he's just a student of the blues.
He's been doing it his whole life,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah. This leaves a lot on these records for people to become appreciative of and attached to while he showcases all he can muster, and then of course take it to the stage full force and then some. It's a good record. He doesn't make bad records. There's no way. maybe when he goes to that softer soul side, but he hasn't. He kind of, even the big band things, they're so well done. Oh yeah, Patty Griffin, Crown of Roses. I think every color of the rainbow is being used on this cover. There's not a color that wasn't used, even ones that don't even exist, probably. Okay, there are going to be those of you that have probably never given this brilliant folk Americana artist a thought, or possibly knew that she even existed. And that's sad but true. The generations under my age, she might as well have been an elderly woman on a past television show. Or even those younger might even think that she might have been in the House of Gryffindor from Hogwarts. Now, if you're in the generation that knows who she is, Hogwarts is the fictional school in the famous novels of Harry Potter, which probably outsold the Bible. Sad but true. That's shameful. You know how the school systems, and now we're getting back like Bonamassa. That's cool that you got into this. School systems held literature back in the day. Over the summer, you're going to read these classical books, you little bastards. Here they are, right? Okay. Why didn't they do that with music?
They should have, man.
Son of a bitch, right? I would have loved that experience over the summer. Here are the 3 books you're going to read over the summer. 10 Little Indians by Agatha Christie, okay? And then you're going to do Rendezvous with Rama by Arthur C. Clarke. Good luck trying to imagine what the hell's going on with that one. And then maybe the Corrections by Jonathan Franzen. What? Well, yeah, I'm throwing modern shit in there for you. Then these are the 3 albums you have to listen to, okay? Yes, right. Good. Give it to me. Heather Nova, Oyster. Nico Case, Fox Confessor Brings the Flood. I'm doing the all-women version here. And then Miss Patty Griffin, Crown of Roses, which incidentally kind of meets up with that Jonathan Franzen's Corrections album. Novel, if you haven't read it. And
I have not.
Pressing as hell. But anyway, it's hard to name famous people in Maine other than Stephen King.
And the Gorton's Fishermen.
Yeah. Well, there's Patty Griffin. Damn it.
Yep. She's from Maine.
The singer-songwriter, guitarist, pianist is a stripped-down powerhouse when it comes to the deep roots and emotionally packed world of folk. And she's been doing this since 1996.
Mm-hmm.
What? Yeah. She wasn't born in 80. She's born in like 64. So
yeah.
She's been around, right? In fact, Griffin didn't see her first record release until in her 30s.
Wow, that's crazy.
6 years of married life kind of took its toll, kind of left her in the lurch. And then she goes to Boston and apparently singing in cafes, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Matt Damon and Ben Affleck saw her in it. No, okay. So she got courted to play, and her first record, it's stripped down, just her vocal, her story, and the ghosts, right? And I don't know, it was emotionally packed, and it drew the attention of the record label, and they made it happen. And then after that, somehow, for some reason, she made an album that wasn't like that the next go round. So I don't know whether that derailed some of these things, but it became more produced and stuff. But that album in 1996, something Ghosts. Why can't I think of the name of it?
Don't ask me.
Living with Ghosts. All right, 1996.
Okay.
Okay, this is 1996 because she sells by the seashore. No. She sold 220,000 copies of that record. In a time where 2 records sold 32 million copies themselves in that year. Celine Dion's Falling Into You and Spice by Spice Girls. Oh my God, I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna be your lover.
But also don't forget that Matchbox 20's Yourself or Someone Like You was in there. The Score by the Fugees in that year. Not to mention too, Dave Matthews' Crash was released and Metallica's Load.
Okay.
Right? So busy year. REM's albums in there too. There's a lot of things going on. So for her to sell 220,000 copies of a folk record that's stripped down, kudos.
Yeah.
A rather fantastic starting point, as well as one of those albums that might have made that summer listen list I'm talking about. But why did I put Crown of Roses instead? Because this album is way better, in my opinion. Oh my God. Anyway, we'll get to that. So it's a signature that she's been expanding on for decades. All right. Kind of honing her craft, encapsulating other performers and being a part of another band, actually. And in that reincarnation from this man's band, she got to be a part of. Now, I'm assuming that the person on this program who's co-hosting knows about this. So I'll just go over to her right now.
Well, Miss Patty Griffin, I didn't know anything about her. Um, yeah, Maine. Kind of funny that she's from Maine. It just you think that she would be somewhere from Appalachia or something with the kind of music she plays. And it's no surprise that her musical influences that got her to the point of going, I think I can do this. Aretha Franklin and Etta James. Okay, those are great, great women to want to emulate for sure, right? Other than her vocals don't do that. Now, the one thing I have to say is throughout this whole album, I kept saying, these vocals aren't grabbing me. And then I did some research on her and found out that in 2016, she had radiation for breast cancer and it changed her vocals to some degree. So
Yep.
I would like to go back and listen to her. Not that they were off putting or anything. I just expected maybe more of the vocals that I like is somebody like a Beth Hart, somebody like that. And that's not what this is, but the music is amazing. And yes, she was in a band with Robert Plant. Um, we weren't
Band of
dating,
Joy.
the Band of Joy. And but she was actually in a romantic relationship with him from 2010 to 2014. They lived together and they had a home in England and I think a place in New England, maybe LA. I'm not sure. But I got to give her a call because I got to find my way
She
in there.
probably said, Robert, one morning, said, I want you to buy my ex-husband's house and burn it to the ground.
I didn't see that part, but they've obviously can't.
Yes,
I think those
Patty.
those
Yes, right away.
records are sealed. So besides that, of course, I hold her in high esteem because of her personal prowess with my man. But the album was good. It was really, really good. And it was different. Like, even though she's a folk singer and her love is from soul, blues, gospel, rock, and she's very genre bending as far as what I've read on her other albums, but always has that foundation of the folk part of it and the songwriting and the lyrics, right? But long time had a flamenco guitar feel on this. And it at first I'm going, what's happening here? But it was good. It wasn't overpowering. It was subtle and just gave this song something a little bit extra layer, I thought. And when you said that she started to probably sing in cafes and things like that at an older age, all the way home, that song, that felt like I was at a lounge. I felt like I was sitting at a lounge having a cigarette and a martini, but not a fancy lounge.
Mm-mm.
Maybe a lounge that still looks now like it did in 1965, but we're in present day. So not a classy lounge, but a
Yeah.
lounge.
Smoker
You know,
stains on the wall.
that's
Wallpaper from 1949.
yes. So I I will listen to this album again, but I'm also going to go back and listen to some of her other work because it's really um it's me I kind of am embarrassed that even with me being the next Mrs. Plant that I don't know about this collaboration or that I knew about the Band of Joy. I just didn't know that was her.
Oh, okay. Well, also, he is on the album. He's that song that you mentioned. He's the backing vocal. Crown of Roses is a testament to the art and struggle to write. You got to give of oneself, but in the arrangement, you have to convey but not utterly wallow in your own self-pity, right? Because what do you want to do? You want to make the song not about you, because if it's just about you, then no one's going to connect with it. And Patty does a wonderful job of letting a song take the shape of whatever the hell you want it to.
The little birds stop singing. Morning comes to the trees, but they are gone. Maybe they're fast asleep somewhere, or tired, or finally forgotten the song.
Yeah,
Even though
that's
she's
great.
telling,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
let them make a connection. Let them feel it in their soul. It can drip or it can pour out on this record. It's kind of how you hear it, or the track you become fixated on, right? But the fact that you have become drawn and fixated and, I don't know, cornered, leads me to the greatness that has her in the artist that you should listen to. All right.
Yeah.
Miss Griffin is beyond a masterclass woman at this now, and Crown of Roses kind of seals the deal for me here in this legendary songwriter. Kind of in that Joni Mitchell, Emmylou Harris, and she's toured with Harris. In that vein,
Oh,
right?
really?
Yeah, yeah. But the weaving and the structure of the tracks are just so fetching, but they're honest and almost brittle, that I might consider that this is her finest record. But I really got to go back and brush up on my musical journey there, because I would say there's some albums that I don't remember or didn't even listen to. Maybe the first 4 tracks of this album are absolute perfection. There's no they're intense, lyrically positioned, and instrument inclusions and production are just wowing.
Yep.
The first time out the gate, they stuck, and they made me feel and contemplate the accomplishment in the grand scheme of the overall albums of 2025 right off the bat. Born in a Cage is like this effortlessly cast, like this haunt over you, and it's just despair without any flicker of riff. There's no riff. There's no doom. There's just the pluck in the strings and the vocal. And then Long
Yep.
Time, right? Might be the closest
Yeah.
to self-indulgent maybe, but even backing vocalist Robert Plant is sort of minimalized to the chilling, simple construct and lyrical quality that is pretty much the center stage here. Patty Griffin is plucking and killing it on this record. It's rich, but it's sparse, which doesn't make any sense. The lines, the structure gives such pause, contemplation, and there's hesitation even. It feels like there's very little hope on the record, and I love that.
Yeah.
The strain of all things, right? It's the strain of everything. You can feel it in the subtle instrumentation as well as the uniqueness of her vocal perspective, which is downtrodden. It's broken. Her vocals are broken. They work tremendously well. Robert Plant's are broken to some degree, right? And they work splendidly
absolutely.
well. Tone, knowing where you can reach, where you can go. The only slight drawback might be the last song is more of a love song, a reflection that feels okay, but not within the first 75% of this gem. However, I have to say, we were led there sort of by I Know a Way. All right, so that song, we just didn't realize what she was referring to, because we've been so alert and crushed that we might not have thought of a pleasant escape in all of this, or a realization. Also, I kind of lost the title of the album, knowing that A Crown of Roses, right? Well, that's better in some way than A Crown of Thorns. It's a beautiful, rich suffering here with a fabulous payout. That should have you going kind of back to revisit, like Dan said, subtle things you missed, either on this record or prior records. Uneasy alt folk environment is where you're at, made in a maturity that only comes with survival, time, and a need to pour out.
I like that.
Oh, we got some extras.
We do.
And I didn't even tell you about that at the beginning. So those of you that are following along going, now what's happening? Yeah, that we normally, for the YouTubers that come on, we give you more, because you got to have something a little bit more. And plus, I don't want to write 6 reviews because it'll take a week. and I have 33 other albums to listen to. So we start off today with Bush. I Beat Loneliness. It doesn't sound like he did, unless he's saying that he beat it up and left it in a dark parking lot to die. All right. This is the new Bush. I don't know if you've been with the old Bush to the new Bush, but the evidence in the last two albums is dark, dark, dark. And it works. Gavin's bandmates and him have an absolute audio axe to grind for some reason. And this one's got a little bit hint to the past of the extra grunge thrown in here and there, which I felt in. And I will tell you this, the last album, Survival, son of a bitch, Survival, Art of Survival, was on our best 22 albums of 2022.
Okay.
And that was because harsh. And it might have been because of, life and his ex and what's going on with that. She's all living the pop country life. And
there she is, little Gwenny.
Yeah. So I'll give this to you before I come back around on Bush.
Well, I mean, they've been around forever, right? But I just don't think that they have. I think it's the placement of where they came in. I was already an adult, and so I wasn't listening to a lot of new music all the time because I was having babies and being a mom. So sometimes time stands still when you're in the mix of, everyday boredom. So 92, right? I think that's when they formed, maybe as their original name. Future Primitive was their original name. That's interesting. But they changed it to Bush, which is where he lived, Shepherd's Bush in England. Obvious influences of Nirvana. Then I like the Jesus Lizard and Bob Marley part of all of it, when I go, yeah, because I'm telling you, Gavin Rossdale is kind of a cool dude. Yeah. I find he's got this swagger about him, maybe like a little Jim Morrison thing going on, heartthrobbish. In fact, Woodstock 99, he was able to tame 250,000 disgruntled young people after Korn finished their session on stage, and they thought this place is going to burn down earlier than it actually did. But he got up there and he sang Glycerine, and all the women just kind of brought it down, and all the guys then brought it down. And so that's pretty magical, I think. Yeah. And powerful. So this album, I was so happy that it was kind of what I expected from them, but in a good way. Land of Milk and Honey is classic Bush.
Feels like the land of milk and honey. Feels right. We love a taste of money. Feels like somewhere in the middle. Fire does what it wants. Fire does what it wants.
Classic Bush. I liked Footsteps in the Sand. It was a little slower, and maybe not, his vocals weren't as gritty in it, but I liked it. Many of the songs felt different, but at the same time familiar and the same. Hard to put my finger on it, where obviously they're not the band from the 90s anymore. But they know,
like you said, there are those moments in there with that grunge guitar, just that one chord or something that would reverberate to back to that first record, or maybe even the second. But then after that, there's a lull of Lost in there. They get lost in that. They're okay albums, but nothing. These last two have been very, very good.
That's great, because I mean there was some. Access, I think, is the name of the one song. It was interspersed with this funky mellow rap kind of, that I was like, it would catch me a little bit, where I went, well, that's a little different departure from what they normally do, but still it was them. And yeah, I thought this week was really interesting so far, Mark. This was another good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fire does what fire wants. When fire does what it wants. That's in the lyrical line of the land of milk and honey. And
Yep.
that is that spot on my interpretation that I believe that he's saying, some people just do whatever they want in the form to make money and they don't think about consequences. They don't think about what it
Hmm.
does. It's all just destructive once it's lit and on and it's done and your soul's gone.
Hmm.
And he does a marvelous job. His vocal is still the same.
It's the
Uh,
same.
and he reminds me of Robert Smith of The Cure in that regard. He's still finding the range. He doesn't go off kill. I mean, don't get me wrong with Glycerine. There's that growl, gravel,
Yeah.
stretching it to the point of no return. And he does do that in some instances here, but not for long stretches. He's not
Right.
doing those type of lines, those long lines, which I think is better.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Agreed.
I'm it's a carefully calculated album, I think, from start to finish. And I think that's where it happened. But yeah, he is if he beat loneliness again, he left it in the parking lot to die. Because there's nothing here going, I beat loneliness.
Yeah, we don't want him to be
No,
loneliness. That
no.
would be
If he starts singing,
boring.
it's like Phil Collins, if he starts singing happy songs, it's over. All right. Speaking of things beaten in the parking lot and left to die, why don't we go to the Dark Side? Yes, that's the actual band name, Dark Side. I can't believe it wasn't taken, to be honest with you. I mean, after the 1960s, late 60s of Sabbath, everyone should be going dark, black, dark, black, dark, 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 this, dark, that, dark,
And
fucking.
Dark Side.
Yeah, yeah. Dark Side is there, and here we are with their album Nothing. They've been doing this for a few years now. You're not going to even have a way of figuring out where this album's going. Just plug in and let Nicholas Yar and Dave Harrington, along with Mr. Esparza. I'm not even going to try to say his first name because it's TL. How do you start your first name with a T and an L? He is a drummer, a technologist, and holds a bachelor's degree in mathematics as well as music at the Columbia University. And he has a master's in musical technology from NYU,
Oh
where
my
he
gosh.
teaches digital signal theory.
What the, that's this is only I don't have enough caffeine in my
He sold his musical soul to the dark side and let this electronica, art rock, loopy, I don't know, exchange you can have your toe tapping, your ear going, and then you'll be like, what the hell just happened? The one thing that is certain is there is this timely funkiness through this record that seems to measure itself in and out for some great grand effect. I love what seems to be real instrumentation in this record, but they're also taking the electronic performance enhancement so that the experience has a darker ambient-like whole, seldomly heading to that up-tempo club that you're expecting, although you feel it's starving for it. It's like it wants to go there, but it doesn't. And I don't know Dark Side very well, but I've been told by my fact finding that this is a reset going away from that. So they have definitely been to the club and the dub and that, right, with their beats and everything. But the drummer here has made an impression on them the last couple of times. But this one is straight. It felt it was all over the place at first, and then I'm sitting outside by the fire and I'm listening to this, and suddenly I'm like, there's bridge work, there's trailings, there's cohesiveness that was there, but it was distracted by the lack of cohesiveness. But those are more bridge attempts and stuff. So sometimes I'll fall in that. There's so much sound on this record that you even get Skinny Puppy kind of industrialism in this. It's Gracha Max is the name of the song. This could almost be described as electronic fusion ambient. And that's where I am at this. Damn. Are you on the dark side?
It was funny. My first note was, I can't figure this album out. That's what you said. I can't figure this album out. I think that part of my confusion was I try not to do this. I try not to research a band before I listen to it. But I was in a crunch and I started researching my bands while I was listening to other stuff. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be, their influences were cited as Pink Floyd, King Crimson, and jazz. Well, no.
Yeah, if you hear that on here, you're listening under the influence.
Well, I went back and made sure that I wasn't giving you false facts from the internet, because I go, no, but there's these people, because you named the band members. That's exactly who I was reading about. But I don't know yet. It grew on me, I would say.
Yeah.
At first I go, I don't, and I, even in my notes, I'm going, well, they formed in Rhode Island and they're based in New York City, but are they speaking Aramaic or something?
He's Chilean. All right. Jar is Chilean, but he was born
Oh.
in New York.
Okay.
Harrington is from New York. We'll get into that in a minute because there's some interesting stuff there.
Okay.
And the drummer, I believe he's Californian, but via Mexico, in Latino. So,
Okay.
but I didn't think they're using anything and everything. I just, you know what I mean?
It was different. And even like the names of their songs. So the title track, SLAU, I don't know if it's like
No idea. It's
coleslaw.
probably an
I don't
abbreviation
know what
for something.
and there's no periods in it, and it's all capital letters. So I'd like to know what that means. But you mentioned in the club doing dub. It was a very dubby atmosphere, is how I can describe that song. It's atmospheric, but not like you're in outer space. It's hard to explain. It's a little bit more earthly in some way.
Yeah, grounded. I there's one thing about it that I picked up on, because I was expecting it to go to like a New Deal kind of way. It just be all just about the musicianship and stuff, but then and you can throw the dub in there, and it cannot even feel like dub. It can actually be instruments. So it was the looping and the distortions and the funkiness that got me, and I'm like, oh, okay, but it was still tied to dark. It still
Yes.
felt gloomed or moody somehow, right?
And that's what I was going to say, like the song SNC.
Yes.
That's a deep funk. That's a
Mhm.
moody funk. I like that word better than deep. A moody funk. You don't expect the horn players to come out
Right.
and do their, James Brown thing at all. But my favorite song was American References. I felt like Santana was playing with Monster Magnet.
Yeah, there's times that, yeah.
And I went, at first I said, what the hell's happening here? And then I went, and this works. I don't know why. And I got to ask my host, what's happening here? I don't know what's happening here. How long have they been around?
I want to say it's got to be 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, somewhere around. But I mean, Yar's been doing this. Harrington's, but they kind of met, I think, at New York. Were they at Brown University? I want to say.
I don't know.
I
didn't find any of that. I didn't go down
they
that
got
rabbit
into
hole.
that together from the school. So
Okay.
this could almost be described again as this like fusion electronica of ambient, but I also I don't have any idea how it relates to the band's past albums. So
Mm.
tread carefully, because by the time you get to the Immaculate Hell Suites 1 and 2 that nearly closed the record, there's one after it, you're going to be leaning to the dark side heavily, right? Which a lot of this album seems to have been completed in the family barn of Harrington, okay? Just 40 minutes down the thruway in Batavia.
Stop.
I think a road trip interview is in order, if this is the case, factually. This is a
Batavia, that's
Batavia via New York City, via Chile, via American Latino, that instrumentally leaves nothing to electronic chants and trance and ambience. Cool record that needs a tentative ear,
Yeah.
because you got Coltrane on this kind of thing. You got
Yeah.
Portishead and Buena Vista Social Club and beyond. So I thought it was a cool record, but it didn't start
Yeah.
that way for me. I'm like, okay, you're trying to compartmentalize it, and it doesn't want to be. And you have to go with
Yes.
it, and then you got to experience it, and then you got to, yeah.
Agree.
And they, and I love
Agree.
even the people that are putting this out on the internet. They have the band members. They ain't putting the instruments down because even they're not certain. So,
Okay, good. So everybody's a little confused.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it's
I'm part of the group.
I always wanted to meet the dark side. So if the band happens to catch this, we'd certainly love to have it on, because the creative process of this is much different than any rock, indie rock album, country album, folk album. And it's very hard for albums like this, in my opinion, to make their way into the elevation of like the top albums in remembrance of that, right? It's like Swans and I think of other bands that have that. They're like, wow, they're taunted as you got to listen to this, but they never get where you think they should be on the list.
Well, you know what? If they want to meet us, I will treat them to dinner at the Center Street Smokehouse in Batavia. I know it well, and it's delicious.
Okay. Again, I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I checked these Harringtons out pretty
Crazy.
extensively. There is
Batavia.
one other Harrington farm, but I think that's under historical control. So
Okay.
because it is in
Okay.
upstate New York. They said upstate New York, so I went
Okay.
hunting.
Okay, there you go.
I went Harrington hunting. All over dark sides, nothing. The
Wow.
things I do for music. Are you not
Yes.
entertained? All right. And from that, we go to Jackson Wang, Magic Man 2. Okay, so I was able to listen to the first one because it was in the library. So I got it.
Okay.
All right. This is the problem when you kind of do this early in your career. Jackson hasn't been around long enough to do something like this yet. He's hanging his hat on his Magic Man. There's no way most people are going to see this record and go Magic Man 2 and go back to Magic Man 1. I'm 52 years old. I didn't know who Jackson Wang was. I don't follow the, what is it called?
K-pop?
K-pop. And I don't think this is K-pop, to be honest with
No,
you.
but he was in a Korean K-pop band.
Oh, okay. So okay.
In
So
a boy band. In a boy band.
boy band,
Yeah.
right? And boy bands to me, man, you go through this collection. It's not there. It's not there. No.
Sorry, Justin.
Yes. Justin Timberlake, I have albums of him,
But
but
not his.
no, I don't have Boys Band. I didn't sync. I don't have Let's Sync. I don't know, whatever. You're creating an early dismissal of your album by doing this, right? Why was this picked? The album cover. It's the
Oh,
only
yeah,
reason I chose it.
You know
It
what?
looked-
And that's the album cover out of all of them this week that is emblazoned into my head. I went, what is happening there?
Yeah, it's like this colored aha moment, since we're
Mhm.
talking MTV Generations this week and all that.
True.
shit.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is neo new soul, if you're wondering. It seems to be trapped somewhere between loneliness and melancholy for some reason. My immediate reason, it's because it's easy and it fits. Drake's moody, and then I'll be moody too. All right, I don't give a shit about your mood. All right, I don't believe it.
No, exactly.
Yeah. And what do I say? That nothing strikes me, and I feel like the instrumentation is borrowed or kept in the funk of the punk's 3-chord two familiarity. But in this case, in this genre, it's basically a bass strike, if that. I don't think somebody's striking it. I think they fell asleep and moved occasionally and snored.
It's funny how people can be selfish. I give it all, give it all, give it all, but you still want more. Wish I could still trust you, but you're fainting. Can't be so simple.
Maybe that's the Neo part. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't feel anything is stepping out at me. Vocally, I feel it's there and it could be good, but it levels out and holds and barely leaving any impression whatsoever. Even Sade made an impression. Okay. All right. And we're talking about lower register or, that dreamy kind of thing. And I feel like Jackson Wang is in this position. Well, at least this album. But let's pull Deb in now, and then we'll visit the album that started this.
All right. Well, I mean, he's had an interesting life. I mean, he's 31 now. His dad was a champion fencing person in the Olympics, right? So he himself excelled at fencing, even got to the junior Olympic level, I believe. But then was like, nah, this ain't for me. He has his own fashion brand. That all was created after his Korean K-pop boy band thing. He's actually a pretty intelligent young man. He can speak English, Mandarin, Cantonese, Shanghai, Korean, some Japanese, Thai, and French. Okay, that's impressive. So, I mean, I wouldn't count him out so early. Maybe he's got some things to learn about the industry and from people that have been through it. And maybe he's making some of these decisions, or maybe he's listening to somebody that isn't giving him the right um, clues of how to go down the road here. But, 11 songs, 34 minutes, that was a little shy of what I think an album should be.
And that's an EP for crying out loud,
Yeah. You said dreamy when you were talking about Sade, and that I had written these are melty songs. I felt
Melty.
very melty.
Got it.
His influences are, Michael Jackson, Prince, Pharrell, Elvis. I really didn't feel any like, what is this all about? What is he trying to say? What is he trying to do? What is the purpose here? And I really expected to find out that he was maybe only 20 years old. So I think that was the surprising thing, that he was older. And this felt kind of simplistic, or whatever the word is that I'm looking for. I didn't find anything that drew me in, that teaches me anything about who Jackson Wang maybe really is deep inside. It was very generic, I guess. So tell me about Magic Man 1.
Magic Man 1 is actually an up-tempo pop energy based record with a hooky punk kind of clubbing thing going on.
Really?
Can leave you when it's time to. When it's time, I can't leave you, even if I try to. Late night when I slide through. Can leave you when it's time to. When it's time to go ghost.
Yeah, it's got mojo. And
then why did he name this?
It's got that Michael Jackson. It's got that Elvis swagger to it, right?
Okay. Interesting.
It's driven by rhythm and pace. It's interesting because the music has emotion. It's at the forefront, even when some of it feels like it's been used and done before. Remember, pop is pop. It works with the delivery and the attitude. The character or the swagger, and we were warned actually that it was going to change, because the last track on that album was called My Blue for Magic Man, and it does hint to the kind of accompaniment that we are at now. So I don't know whether it was supposed to be a 2-part record Like,
Okay.
oh, if you do all this clubbing and fun and have this attitude and swagger, we're gonna be left alone in this misery of standard accomplishments and blah blah blah.
What year was the first one?
2 years prior, 3 years prior.
Okay, so only two. I mean, it
Yeah, I
wasn't
think it's
like
two.
he didn't revisit this album name like 5 years later.
But
I
then
mean,
again,
it's
the
recent.
record company could have shelved it, right? And said,
Okay.
this is not a
Oh,
good idea. This is not a good idea. This is not a good idea. And then he puts it
mm,
out because he's I mean, 27 million people clicked that My Blue song, I think, or something like that. It's
wow.
crazy.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. It's like this sucking the algorithm's lollipop instead of making true music, right? Oops. Did I
Yeah.
say that? Jackson,
Yeah.
come alive instead, man. All right. That's the track, right? That stuff kicks it pretty good. And you need to be the magic man anymore. You don't. You don't need to be the magic man anymore. What did you think of these albums? Let us know in the comments. Like what you like, leave what you don't. Subscribe to the channel for more. Obviously, we're trying to keep you entertained. Next week, we take a Kokoroko. And then one of the titles is actually 1 Hour Mama.
Whoop.
Yeah. So
Oh.
I'll thank Dan for doing this again and showing up, doing the assignment,
Yeah, I get an A plus.
doing it well. We're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course. Articles, videos, podcasts coming soon. It's all about albums, bands, artists, anything we can get our hands on. Go Beyond Your Radio with us. Unknown Sunday. Dink. Thanks for watching and happy listening.
Dink.